Hey Super Awesome Stampers, it's Super Awesome Stamper Shirley Merker. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, USA. I'm excited to share the day with you. We've seen a lot of fabulous presentations so far, and I'm sure you've got a lot that you would like to create in your space, and we've given you lots of ideas to do that. My video is a watercolor class, so I will share some tips and tricks for some easy watercoloring. So let's get started. I'm going to flip the camera around. Hey Super Awesome Stampers, I'm back. I've got the camera flipped around. I just focused the lens. Hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing crystal clear. So this is the first card that I'll be demonstrating. We'll make the focal point background and then do some butterflies as well. The inside I just have plain with the whisper white. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is grab your clear acrylic block and 3 different re-inkers. My first one is Highland Heather. So I just squeeze a little bit on there, probably a little more than I needed to. Maybe 2 to 3 drops. And then this is the So Saffron's next. So I'm just moving the ink around, but I don't want it to touch the Highland Heather. My last re-inker is Flirty Flamingo, because that's the color of the card base. Okay, so that looks good. Next, I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm just going to lightly add a little bit of water to that. And this is just an empty Stampin' Mist bottle that I have. I got it marked for water for misting. And then just tip it over onto your 2.5 by 2.5 inch piece of Whisper White. And then let the colors kind of meld a little bit. And they will look different every time. So I probably could have put a little more color in between. We've got white in between, but that's fine. So since this is Whisper White, it's not watercolor paper, you're going to have to set that aside to dry. So this is one I just did as well, so you can see it kind of depends on how much water you add as to how watercolory looking it is. Alright, since both of these are wet, I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to bring in one that is already dried. And that dried overnight, and what I'm going to do is use the Memento ink pad and stamp one of my Butterfly Duet stamps from the Butterfly Gala stamp set. Like that. And while I have the ink pad out, here's our sample card. I'm going to stamp a little note. I'm going to bring my paper piercing mat in just because I know I need a little bit of give on there. I needed it for the Butterfly Gala, but I had it on that additional cardboard there. So you want a little bit of soft cushion underneath your cardstock when you're stamping with the photopolymer stamps. Lets the ink transfer a little bit more uniform. Okay, I'm done with the Memento, so we're going to close that up. I'm done with the re-inkers. We're going to set those aside. And then I'm going to pull in my Butterfly Duet punch, and look at that. You can perfectly punch the small. Okay, I'm back. So as I was showing you, you can perfectly punch out the small and the larger butterfly with the Butterfly Duet punch. Look at that. So I've done a few in the time that I had to reset up my camera here. So these are all different colors. You know, it just depends on how the ink transfers from your acrylic block to your cardstock. Alright, so to assemble the card, we got to add a little fun texture. So I've got the subtle embossing folder, and I've already processed through a couple of layers. The first layer is crushed curry. That measures 2.5 inches by 4 inches. And then the Gorgeous Grape layer measures 2.25 by 3.75 inches. And that's the subtle embossing folder. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. But it adds, just like the name says, a little bit of subtle texture. Alright, so before we attach that down, I see I've got the glittered organdy ribbon, but I've also got the Gorgeous Grape at an angle. So just for quickness of attaching adhesive, I usually just grab my glue dots, whether it's on camera or off, because you just need one on all four corners. And if you want to replicate the design you have, just lay it over your sample and perfectly positioned. Alright, next we've got some of our glittered organdy ribbon. So it's about 3 inches, I thought. And normally when I do a faux bow, I cut 3 inches and then 3 inches. And then, so one gets wrapped around. So we'll use our glue dots for that. So one of the 3-inch pieces is wrapped around. And I've already tied my faux bow, but what I normally do is I wrap it around. And then I use the second piece and then do the faux bow. I'm not sure if you can see that there. Alright, and then everything else, so the whole layer gets attached to the card front. Oop, and I think I missed a glue dot on that corner. Alright, so that'll get placed right there. And then I've got a ton of butterflies that I can choose from. Oh, and I see actually I did this wrong. Look at what I was gonna do. I was gonna leave one of those whole, but I see I don't have one ready. But guess what? We'll get another one ready real quick here. You get another lesson. All right. So the first layer was Highland Heather. Swish that around a little bit. Second reinker was the So Saffron. So I'm just swishing it around, but I'm not letting the reinkers touch. Third layer is a little bit of Flirty Flamingo. And then we just take our misting bottle. And hope I don't get mist everywhere else on the mat. Okay, so as I'm pressing down, it kind of, I don't know what the technical term is, kind of melds together. Alright, so what I wanted to do actually, if I look at my sample card, I have a piece underneath and then the butterflies that actually punched out. So here's my butterflies. And I know this is a wet piece, so I won't fully assemble it because I want the white to dry. But since I'm using the Memento ink, the black ink doesn't smear even though that piece of paper is wet with water. Okay. So we're just going to have to pretend that I'm assembling all this. This is the next layer. And then what you're going to do is pull in one of your butterflies, put a dimension on the back, kind of offset it a little bit so that it looks like it's flying. And then put some little butterflies down here. So pick whatever you want. And see, I got something right there, didn't I? So one of those. I like the purple one. And then what you could do is take a few of these and put them on the inside piece. So this would be my inside piece. Since I got a lot of them, I might as well use them, right? There. Is any of them dry? Yep, this one's a dry one. I could put one down there. Alright, just pretend that's attached. Flip that shut. And that'll go on the inside. How pretty is that? Part of it is because the card base is Flirty Flamingo and it's a very vibrant color. It's the color of those plastic lawn flamingos. Alright, so glue dots on all four corners. And that's the inside of the card. And here's the outside of the card. Alright, so I'm going to clear up my space and I'll be back for the next easy watercoloring trick. Are you ready for card number 2? So I've stamped the partially open umbrella with some flowers and then the sentiment. And the stamps come from the Under My Umbrella stamp set. It has a coordinating punch, but I didn't use that in my designs today. So just wanted to share that. Alright, so I'm going to start with stamping my images using the Memento ink pad. And I know I want to stamp that at an angle. And then the little sprig of flowers, there's a couple little different sprigs in the set. I chose this one. And then the words. So this piece of watercolor paper measures 2¼ by 3 inches. I'm going to try to get that straight. If not, I can flip it over. Ooh, looks pretty straight. Okay, so I'm going to move the Memento ink pad aside. And I'm going to move the paper piercing mat aside because I don't need that right now. Alright, and now comes the fun part. We're going to watercolor using our re-inkers. Whoops. Let's get everything all set up here. Okay. Alright, so I've got Gorgeous Grape, a little bit of water in one of our embellishment cups. So I'm just going to do one drop and see where we're at with that for color. Ooh, that's wow, that's a lot of color. So I'm going to pull in some more of that. And that looks good. Alright, so I'm just going to watercolor my umbrella. The brushes that I'm using are just from past kits. So I think this kit was a winter kit a couple years ago. And we've got high quality tools and we can keep on reusing them. I'm going to reveal that I have the original crimper. I still have that, still use it every once in a while to make some sour cream cups. So there, I've got a purple umbrella, and who doesn't love a purple umbrella? Next, we're going to make some pumpkin pie flowers, so one drop again in there. Switch it around and test it on our mat. Yep, that looks good. And if you go outside the lines, that's okay. That's kind of what watercoloring is all about. But if you've got some nice fine tip brushes, that'll help you control where all that water goes. Okay, and then our last color is going to be a drop of Pool Party. I don't know if you, I'm going to pull it in so you can see that a little better. One drop of Pool Party and another, whoops, another brush. Yep, and that's going to be the color of the leaves. Whoops, wrong one. And you can already see that my colors are different than the sample, and it's going to be different every time that you watercolor. And then we're going to set that aside to dry. Okay, it's dried for a few minutes. Still got a little bit of water right there in that flower. But I'm going to proceed with finishing to assemble the card. So I'm going to bring in a Gorgeous Grape card base. And I'm going to first stamp some purple droplets. Who doesn't need purple droplets? So Gorgeous Grape again. And my workspace is quickly getting filled with a lot of stuff here. Alright, so purple droplets. Here, we'll flip this around so you can see what I'm doing. So just light pressure, straight up and down, no rocking, firm and committed pressure is my mantra. And maybe one right there. Okay, that's all we need for that. Okay. Then I've already attached this piece of Gorgeous Grape cardstock. It measures 2.75 by 2.25 inches. And we're going to grab some of our crinkled seam binding ribbon. And all I did was wrap that around the back. And you're gonna laugh, but I'm gonna flip this over. Because it seems like when you tie a bow upside down, it just seems to work better. It does for me anyway. I'm not sure why. I have not pondered the reason why. And I like the white seam binding on this card because it kind of coordinates with the white on the watercolor paper. And of course, you know, tying bows on camera is never easy. There. Alright, and I'm going to flip it around. See, the tails are going the right way. It's kind of loose because it's a that crinkled seam binding, but that's alright. And I like my tails to actually be longer on the inside and higher on the outside. Alright, one thing I wanted to share with you is you can color all of our Whisper White ribbon or any of our ribbon if you don't like the color. So all I did here was, this is perfectly dry. what I did was I took the watercolor. Actually, I think what I did was, I applied reinker directly to the ribbon. So using the watercolor watered down reinker, it gets a lighter purple. So that's something you can do if you don't like, if you want to color coordinate with your project and we don't have a color that coordinates. All right, flip this around. Secret weapon for ribbons is tear and tape. Because tear and tape will keep it in place. Pull the strip up. That goes on the front. So that pool party piece is 5.5 by 3 inches. And then this is almost dry. It's been maybe 5 minutes. So we're just going to pop it up on some dimensionals. And that's this card. I'll pull in the, here's the one I started with, and here's the one I just assembled with you. Oh, and I see the ribbon could have been placed a little bit higher. Might have to zhuzh that later. Alright, so there's that card. I'll clear off my workspace and be back with another one. Okay, stampers and scrappers, you've hung with me this far. We've got one more card. If you didn't want to do all that crazy watercoloring with water and reinkers and watercolor brushes, look for stamps that give you the look of watercoloring without all the fuss. So here's one that is in our current catalog. It's called Waterfront, and I'll show you how to use these stamps to create this card. So let's get started. You're going to need a lot of blocks and a lot of ink pads for this. So buckle in, we're ready to go. Alright, so the first layer is going to be the C there. So I've got the largest triangle from that stamp set. And that's going to be the C. And I'm going to try to get everything out of the way as I use it so I don't accidentally do double stamping. Next one is going to be Bermuda Bay. And that's going to give it a little bit of depth. And then we're going to meet. Oh, and that's Bermuda Bay. As long as we've got the Bermuda Bay, we're going to mimic the color up here. Love never gives up. I got to do a anniversary card, and I know the people that I'm sending this to like to go to the beach, so this is a perfect card for that. Alright, the horizon line is going to be in the basic gray. And you might want to do some more, double stamping there to give more of a shadow. Ooh, I need more of a work table here. Next ink pad is going to be the gray granite. And I see that I did stamp that a few times to mimic the beach. Oh, and I think I stamped off. That's alright. Maybe I won't stamp off on that one. We're going to have very dark sand on our beach. Alright. Next, I'm going to do some palm trees. So I think I did, how many did I do? 5. And this color is the soft suede. Next, palm tree toppers in Mossy Meadow. 1, 2, 3 for 5 of those. And then pulling in this So Saffron ink pad to make the sun up there. I think I'm going to stamp off of that. And then there's a little bit of speckling with the yellow. Kind of a background thing. Oop, that one's a little too dark. There. So easy watercoloring, right? No water that you got to mess with. Pretty quick image. Layered onto a basic gray card base. My So Saffron piece right here is 4 by 4.5 inches. And then I'd pop this up on dimensionals just for a pop. Because I'm not going to put any more embellishment on this card because we have got such a large focal point image. And there, we got a quick card. Alright, we're going to sign off for a bit. I'm going to come back with all of the supplies that I used in my presentation. Hello again for one last time. So I just wanted to go through the supplies I used to create these cards. So this one was pretty simple, just one stamp set, the Waterfront, and of course a ton of acrylic blocks. And then all the ink pads that you need to use to create kind of a scene. So I used Coastal Cabana, Bermuda Bay, Gray Granite, so Saffron, Soft Suede, Mossy Meadow, and Basic Gray. So if you've got some ink pads in your house already, acrylic blocks, and you like the watercolor look without all of the watercoloring, look for those stamps that give the watercolor look. Alright, the first card I did was this butterfly one, so I used the Butterfly Duet Punch Memento ink pad, the glittered Organdy ribbon, and then 3 re-inkers Flirty Flamingo, Highland Heather, and So Saffron. Also the stamp set Butterfly Gala, along with the subtle embossing folder. And then the 2 cards that I actually used the watercolor paper on, these 2 cards here. I used the Under My Umbrella stamp set, which has a coordinating punch. I don't see that right now. Oh, right here. I didn't use it on my cards for this time, but it has a coordinating punch. I used our Whisper White crinkled seam binding ribbon, and then the Gorgeous Grape ink pad. So I hope you enjoyed my presentation. All of the supplies can be ordered at my website, which is sjsinks.stampinup.net. You can access my online ordering website through my blog, which is superawesomestamper.com. And I hope to see you soon, and I'll have a show special up for you to thank you for ordering any of these products, or to thank you for ordering some of the kits that you ordered. So I hope you enjoyed your day. I had fun making my videos, and we'll chat with you soon. Bye!